I'm sure you've heard about Brittney Griner getting busted, tried, and sentenced for weed. She got sentenced to 9 years for weed. Now, the big irony here, or the big takeaway, I guess, to me, is nobody should be in jail for weed. Nobody. Brittney shouldn't be in jail for weed. Nobody should be in jail for weed. Now, Joe, who has zero pull in Russia, if Joe says, hey, I want Russian wheat traders to step up the pace, nothing will happen. If Joe says, I want Brittney Griner released, doesn't mean it's going to happen. But in this country, if Joe said, bring me a list of everybody who's in federal prison for weed, I want a list. Bring me a list. And he got a list of everybody who's in federal prison for weed. The next day, he could make an order that says, I want all these guys released. I want their sentences commuted, and I want everyone released that's in jail for weed in a federal prison right now. Then he could go, now I want a list of everybody who's in a state prison for weed. Here's a guy that's in jail for life for weed in Mississippi. You could say, I want everybody's name who's in a state jail for weed. And the next day, he could issue an order that says, I want all these people released. This guy right here says, Pedro Moreno, age 62, is serving a life sentence after pleading guilty to distributing weed from 1986 to 1996. I will die in prison for weed. So yeah, Brittney, 9 years, not a good time. This guy's going to die in prison. He's going to be in there. So if he lives to 82, he's going to be in there for 20 years. He's going to be in there till he dies. And Joe Biden could change that. But he's not going to do it. That's why it's real, I guess, hypocritical. This girl gets busted for weed in Russia, and all of a sudden it's a big deal. What about people who get busted for weed in Texas? See, in Texas, it's illegal to have weed right now. So if you just took the stuff that Brittney had, if she was driving through Texas on a way to a basketball game with her little cartridge in her bag, right? They pulled her over. Of course, they make some excuse that they lie. Cops lie. Oh, we smell weed, even though they don't. Or, you were driving erratically, even though you weren't. I'm saying? You failed to signal, even though you did. You swerved in your lane. You swerved inside your lane, even though you didn't. They'll lie, get in your bag, and then they find a weed cartridge, less than 1 gram of weed. Listen to what happens in Texas. If it's less than 1 gram, it's considered a state jail felony, punishable by term of imprisonment no less than 180 days. So you're getting 6 months. If I'm reading this correctly, you're getting 6 months. Minimum, you're getting 6 months and no greater than 2 years. So you could get 2 years for less than a gram and a fine no greater than 10 grand. So you could get fined $10,000 and put in jail for 2 years in America, in the USA. Forget about Russia. Forget about Russia. You could be in jail in America for over 6 months to 2 years and fined 10 grand for having a hash cartridge or a hash oil cartridge with less than a gram in it. So why aren't we working on getting people out of jail in this country, in America? Why isn't Joe Biden working to free people in this country who are going to die in jail? This girl should not be in prison for weed. This woman should not be in prison for weed. Nobody should. Not one person in this country, in my opinion, should be in jail for weed. So I want to see these guys who are standing up for Brittany's freedom, right? Why don't they stand up for other people's freedom? Why don't they stand up for Americans' freedom in America that are being railroaded by these laws against weed? Nobody should be in jail for weed. Nobody.